Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where we'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV. Oh my goodness! And you know what? You can watch it even on your television as long as it's 2016 and newer. And then, of course, now with me is Aaron William Freeland. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my voice and I can't get all the words out I want to get out, but I'll do my best to muddle through this. I guess, Aaron, how was your weekend?
My weekend actually wasn't too bad. All things considered, nobody got hurt. I have all my limbs, so all in all, a good day, good weekend.
Excellent. For me, it was interesting as well. We did a couple of things. I went to a couple of places, checked out a couple of bands, and we had a. I think it's safe to say we had a good time. Yeah. So the weekend, it's a little colder. We had an outdoor party around all our uh, Halloween things everywhere: caskets, witches, goblins, spider webs, ghosts, all kinds of stuff. And we had a party with two fire pits going at the same time. And
Excellent.
we missed the hockey game. We missed the football game because we were too busy having a good time celebrating Hallowed Eve a little early. So just to give everybody a chance to come and check it out. So we had a lot of fun, to be honest.
So, have you managed to get all your decorations out front then for All Hallows Eve?
Yeah. The boss got them all out. They're all out there, and they're all. That was the whole point. The party thing had to happen when we in fact did finish doing that. The whole point was to party in the middle of all the Halloween. I have some stuff on my phone. I don't know if I could post it right this second, but it'll just have to do. Imagine, folks, somebody who goes crazy over Halloween. That should be enough to take it. Let's go to sports and let's start with F1. And we're talking records, second place, and of course, Las Vegas.
So the great stuff that's coming up here is Vegas is going to be very soon. They have shown photographs of the finished paddock straight, and it's looking absolutely fantastic. Max now has his 50 wins. Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, was in second but was disqualified. Apparently, there was abnormal wear on the rear plate of his car because they set the ride height wrong, and there was too much wear and tear on it. So he lost. He was basically disqualified for improper vehicle setup, which is kind of frustrating, I think, to say the least. So,
Yeah. Speaking of frustrating, Toronto FC continues on the road and they continue to lose. Blank 3-0 by the New York Red Bulls. Are you there? Aaron? Oh, his mic disappeared.
there we go. Got it back.
Go for it.
So yeah, the feast of ineptitude continues for Toronto FC. Unfortunately, they can't seem to find their way out of whatever hole they've managed to dig themselves, and unfortunately, this looks like another written off season. So they'll have to see what they can do to come up with something to fix that in the season to come.
It's very disappointing because the happiest fans at BMO used to be the TFC fans, not anymore. It's by far the Argo fans.
And you know what? I'm not actually really complaining about that. I'm kind of enjoying it for the time being because
Yeah, so at
I'm
least BMO has a winner,
yeah, for the time being.
right? So fans can go to BMO, enjoy the time out there. We're going down the home stretch, and as far as the CFL is concerned, we'll talk about that in a second. But let's finish here with the NBA and Dylan Brooks ejected 5 minutes into the Rockets' debut.
Yeah, and this is one of those cases where Dylan the villain fully came to the fore. Somebody was looking to check him, and he just turned around, and unfortunately, his fist happened to connect with the gentleman's crotch. It is one of those unfortunate situations where you didn't want it to have happen, but unfortunately, it did.
Illegal ball handling.
Yep.
The Raptors' first ever head coach, Brendan Malone, dead at 81.
Yes, unfortunately, Brendan did pass away. It was after an extended illness, unfortunately, but it wasn't really. They were expecting him to pull through, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out.
Uh, you know what? Do I have we have the Roughies and the Tie Cats. It should be what?
Yeah, you have. I think you have the wrong thing pulled up there. It should start with 23 October there.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was there. Okay, do the next one. Do the next one.
Sure.
Go
So
on. Go on. I'll sort out this mess.
no worries. What we're basically switching to MLB now. Um, we're looking at a game 7 in the ALCS. The Rangers actually managed to force a game 7 with a 9-2 win over the Astros in game 6. This was a chance for Nathan Eovaldi to shine, and he shut them down. He allowed just 2 runs and 5 hits and 6 in the third innings, and he's now 4-0 in the postseason. So we're going to see a good old battle at Texas again. And we're hoping that it's at least as entertaining as it purports to be. Um, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting series for sure. And once everything gets cleared up, it's going to be an even more interesting World Series. Jumping over to hockey, as we mentioned before on the show, the NHL does have a ban on Pride tape. However, former Toronto Marlies and Maple Leafs defensive standout Travis Dermott actually placed an order for a case of Pride tape, so he's been using it on a regular basis. There has been no word that has come down from the NHL as to whether or not they're going to fine him or suspend him for his actions after having banned the tape in a rather, uh, I guess, tone deaf and sort of controversial move. But we're anxiously awaiting the fallout for that. Um, it was actually first noticed when they played the Anaheim Ducks the other night, winning 2-1.
Perfect. Okay, I think I've got the right script. Apparently, my computer doesn't agree. But anyway, okay. So now to the Coyotes. Travis Dermott becomes first NHL player to defy league's Pride tape ban.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those higher profile players like Connor McDavid that a lot of us were hoping for, but he is one of the newer defensive stalwarts for the Phoenix Coyotes after having plied his trade in Toronto and won a Calder Cup with the Marlies back in 2018. Um, but looking forward to seeing what sort of action, if any, the NHL takes on this.
Um, I don't think the NHL has the right. They can try to have the right, but then then to exercise the right of deciding what color tape someone should have, they'll have to explain why they're banning it. That's what's
Yeah,
going to happen here. That's the next step, Aaron. The NHL is going to lose. They're going to be caught with their head in the sand, and actually not only in the sand, but their brain will be full of sand if there's an autopsy. This is totally stupid. I don't believe for a minute that you should force players to support a political statement. No matter how genuine, no matter how decent, no matter how good it is, you can't force people to say or support something if they truly don't believe it. That 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 is not that to me that's not acceptable. You can't tell people what to believe, but you can't tell people what not to believe either. One goes
that
with the other.
yeah, that it goes without saying that as a whole part of that, you can't have one without the other. If you're going to have free speech and you're going to allow players
You're going
to,
to have free speech.
yeah, exactly.
There's good and bad news here. There's free speech and there's
And there's
free
free
speech.
speech.
It's so stupid. Just let the
Oh,
guy put that tape on there, and who cares? Who cares? In the sense that who really cares to try and stifle someone's beliefs? None of us want that to happen, and I know, there's many of us that automatically want to support, you know, the LGBTQT plus whatever. Sorry, I don't know the alphabet that well. We all want to support their safety, their belief in who they want to be and what they are, and respect their wishes. We're all into that. We all believe in that. Can you tell a whole team to do that? I don't think so. We found that that's difficult in the National Hockey League. But you can't tell somebody they can't support it. That's just
well,
crazy. I
there's
repeat.
there's a certain irony to the NHL's claims of not being political, and then to have them turn around and with an
And
overtly
be
political
political.
act ban pride tape just
And
seems
then
a
be
little,
political. We do not want to tell players what to do until we
but
want to tell them what to do. That's what this all comes down to, folks. It's ridiculous. Even if you don't agree with with a certain group of people, it doesn't give you the right to tell people not to. We can have a conversation. We can discuss the legitimacy, the logic, the reasons for not or supporting anything, but we need to talk it freely and openly. And then once we arrive at a conclusion, the government shouldn't tell us. They shouldn't draw the conclusion for us, especially if it doesn't harm anybody. And anyway, that's I don't think tape has jumped off a hockey stick to hurt anybody. Unless we're
not
going to
yet.
blame the tape for a puck when it hits somebody. I don't think we can do that either. But it is what it is. Okay, enough about that. And I'm really pissed about that. I'm really pissed about that. I'm not one of those people that enjoys big organizations tell how their people to work. You know what I mean? Okay, Rasmus Anderson appeals a 4-game suspension for a hit on Patrick Laine. Did he have rainbow tape on his stick when he hit him? No.
No, but
You don't know?
unfortunately, I do believe Line was seeing stars after it was all done, not necessarily rainbows.
Yeah.
The game was already out of hand. You know, there were very few seconds left on the clock, and Rasmus Anderson caught Patrick Line with his head down and made contact with his elbow to the head first. Um, this again raises the question of what are you going to allow players to do late in games? The game's already been decided. If this serves as a warning to players not to try to pull dumb stuff late, then I'm all for it as far as that goes. I'm not a big fan of late hits. I'm not a big fan of trying to injure the other team if you guys are already running away with it or if the game is already won. So hopefully this will discourage that. If he does appeal, and he has, and he's successful, I'm just not sure what sort of a message that's going to send.
When the game is out of reach and you think that you can perform an egregious act that the league as a whole, and when I say a whole, I mean management, other players, they all don't like the kind of hits that could take players out of the career, right? When you do something like that at a time when you think it isn't going to cost the team, they should make it cost double.
Especially this early in the season. Like, come on,
Oh,
there's no
absolutely,
justification
absolutely,
for that.
absolutely. Should like the circumstances should be considered, and also the effect it has on the player as much, right? But sometimes it depends. The National Hockey League doesn't have a system in place that there's no template that basically you look at an act and you look at the template and you draw conclusions. They don't have a template. They have an action and then they whatever it is, however they decide. We don't know what that template looks like. So that's why we never really know how it's going to turn out. It could turn out 7-game suspension or well, he's not a kind of guy that does that normally. So let's let him off. That's the National Hockey League a way of doing things. There should be a template. That way players go in knowing what's going to happen to them.
For sure. I mean, the consequences of your actions should be fairly clearly laid out.
Absolutely,
If you do
before you
this,
do it.
it's going to be this.
That's
As
what
opposed
makes it
to,
a detriment, right? What makes it a detriment is that you know what you're going to get if you do that, right? Like that if you stick your stick in between the player's gloves. Now, not so much after last year's playoffs, but before that, it was anytime you put your stick near a guy's gloves, you got a penalty.
exactly. And that's the way it should continue to be.
Right. So a player doesn't have any doubt. So guess what happens? They don't do it when they call it all the time. Let's talk about Connor McDavid out for a week. God
Yeah,
damn.
it's one of those situations where you hate to see it. He was on the bench during the third period, but really didn't play all that much. I think it was more a question of him being sort of inspirational on the bench. The Oilers unfortunately lost at 3:53 of overtime when Mark Scheifele potted it for a 3-2 win. Um, this is a situation here where I don't think there was anything intentional or malicious about what happened, but it does appear to be more of a muscular thing more than as opposed to a structural sort of fault. But they'll have
Muscular
more
thing.
information.
Well, let's hope that the best player in hockey. Let's hope he comes back. Another pretty good player, Cole Caulfield, scored in overtime, leading the Canadians to win over the Capitals 3-2.
Yeah, and again, this is another overtime game here. Cole Caulfield scored 47 seconds into the OT. Sean Monahan and Brendan Gallagher also scored for Montreal, while Dylan Strome had both goals for the Washington Capitals. We're seeing a lot of folks that have a little bit of concern about how Alex Ovechkin is currently going because he's not. And it seems that the Capitals have taken a significant step backwards at this point. So that's additional concerns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how about those Detroit Red Wings? And once again, the Senators having a little bit of trouble early in the season.
And it's the typical slow start that it is for the Ottawa Senators. Everybody expected DeBrincat to be booed into the ground when he first played with Detroit against the Senators, but I think it was more respectful than anything else. When I was watching the broadcast, I didn't happen to hear anything untoward. Um, this was actually Detroit's first win in Ottawa since February 2019. So it's been a while since Detroit has managed to put together a win there. But Joey Veleno got his first 2 goals of the season, and Dylan Larkin added a goal and 2 assists over the course of the win.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Prinkat with the
So
Wings.
he continued to be he continued to be heating up at any rate. He had a hat trick with the Detroit Red Wings against the Calgary Flames with a 6-2 win on Sunday. So good to see him still picking it up. Unfortunate for Calgary that they seem to be suffering with the same inconsistencies that they suffered from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Really terrible stuff. Let's talk about the Canucks. They scored 2 goals late, top Panthers 5-3 to snap a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, now this is a team that's been projected to have troubles all along here. They did say that they did believe that they were going to be making the playoffs and at least be a viable contender, but they've been up and down. Kuzmenko got the go-ahead goal with 4:57 left. Quinn Hughes, Carson Soucy, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser also scored. Casey DeSmith also made 34 saves, so there's been some positives on the back end for them as well.
Well, it would be a nice surprise if the Canucks made it. 3 other teams in that, or the other 3 Canadian teams in that conference, in the Western Conference, are not in the playoffs, and one of them is, of course, Edmonton.
And they're supposed to be the contenders this year, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
it just looks like their coach is already talking like he's on his way out. I don't know if you've seen any of his pressers post game, but this dude feels like it's a gallows march for him every time he goes up to the microphone. John Tavares scored with 55 seconds left in overtime. Just to wrap everything up here for the Maple Leafs as they came from a 2-goal third period deficit to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3. I don't know if you happened to catch the game, but I think you can count the number of seconds that Tampa Bay had possession in the overtime period on both hands. The Leafs were absolutely dominant. It was just not anything I think that any of us were prepared for. So glad to see
Role reversal between Tampa and Florida against Toronto.
Most definitely.
Right. So now the new demon's going to be Florida. Pick a news story.
Sure. I was actually going to say Walter Decker actually did something really cool. He's 99 years old. He's completed the CN Tower climb for the 3rd time in a row now, which is absolutely awesome. All 1,776 steps. He was joined by his son and grandson and 2 great-grandsons on Saturday, where he raised more than $3,000. I was trying to check to see if he had a time here. It turns out he climbed up the tower in 70 minutes and 20 seconds.
Wow.
He said, I would have been faster, but the media interviews along the way slowed him down.
Well, going up is a lot harder when you get older. Yeah. Going up the stairs is harder than it is going down the stairs. I think that's for everybody, but good for him. That's amazing. Good for him, maintaining a level of health that allows him to accept that kind of challenge and succeed. Mind you, though, is the uniqueness of what he did is one of the reasons why he had some media folks kind of slowing him down.
Exactly.
Yeah, good for him. Great story, Aaron. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, thanks to Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. The show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Look for Leaf Talk. Aaron and I got to discuss when we're going to do it. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it, and thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget Candid Frank Stanisci on YouTube. Ciao for now.